So today we're going to be putting together 3 Langmuir welding tables. So what I did was I set all 3 of those tables upright, just like this. This is the floor. Set them up like that, and then I bolted them together and tightened them down just to give them some strength. And then I left these 2 outside top legs on, removed those 2 legs, and that way when I start lifting it up about center, a little up on the higher side right here, when it pivots up, it's not gonna bend these legs or the little mounting pads that are on the bottom. And then I just flipped it up, and once it was high enough up, I bolted these legs back on, and then I lowered it down nice and flat to how this table is now. So this is just what I had to work with to get this guy bolted on, and it might scuff that up a little bit, but I'm not that worried about it. I couldn't think of any other way to do it by myself really, other than just using this. And you can see, so center is about right here, probably in between these 2. I put it up just a little bit so that it wouldn't flip as hard, but from this point I could still pivot it down, and then it's centered on here as much as I can. That way the load's distributed nice and evenly. So now I just gotta get this cherry picker out of the way, clean it off, loosen those bolts back up just a little bit. That way I can clamp some material on here to flatten everything out. And I'll probably clamp straight to here too to get this face nice and flat also. Alright, so what I did is I put the nuts on loosely. I clamped them to the edges here and there, and I don't have any flat bar or C-channel, which would probably be super good, but this, and it's long enough to go the whole way, so I decided to use it. And then basically what I did was I clamped everything on there. Then I made sure that these 2 that were on the inside were clamped down nice and tight, loosened up these, and that way, you know, it can kind of go in or out. I also clamped these on just to get that front face nice and flat. And then I did the same on the other side, but basically clamped these 2 first on those and this. And then I clamped the outside ones and leveled it. So let's see if you can see, I've got my laser level. So I leveled the outside corners. It's got adjustable legs, and I just have them on the 2 outsides. Leveled it out, went to the other side, did the same. So it's pretty level. This way anyways. I'll need to do that, but I'm not worried about it. Basically I just got it level this way to where I could put a jack with a piece in the center to lift it up to make sure that this is level with that, because this is 150 pounds each one of these, so the center isn't supported by any legs, so it's gonna have a lot of sag otherwise. Even with these guys, because it'll just want to sink down. So tightened those up, lifted it up with the jack to where it was nice and level. Then I clamped these 2 outside ones down to flatten that up. Made sure, you know, there's no sunlight under those, so it's flat. You know, they're sucked up against each other. Now I'm going to take one of these hoses attach it to the nuts, and squeeze that JB Weld in there. So for shimming these tables together, you need a JB Weld product, and they recommend using the product number 5176. And they also suggest getting the mixing nozzles. They're self-mixing nozzles that you can get off of Amazon. You can get the cheaper versions, and you get like 20 of them for the same price as buying the JB Weld versions. So I just did that, so I got extra for later on. Now you want to squeeze the hose over the end of the mixing nozzle. It takes a bit of time, but you want to get it on there really good so that when you're squeezing, it doesn't pop off on you. My next suggestion is to trim down the plastic hose that comes with it. That way you don't have to squeeze the JB Weld through so long of a hose. Now, if you ordered the bolt kit with the tables, which I recommend, your bolts are going to look like this. And what they have is basically 2 O-rings in the center and a hole that goes through to that centerpiece, so that when you squeeze the JB Weld through, it'll expand out from the center and fill in. Now once you get the bolts tightened in there, you want to tighten them up and then loosen them about 1/4 of a turn on every single bolt. That way when you clamp it down, it actually can pivot instead of trying to bend the piece of material that you've got clamped across.
There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games, no. There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games, no. There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games, no. There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want.
So I got all that JB Weld laid out in there. Wiped up all the excess that popped up through the top. Now I'm just going to let it sit until tomorrow. And once it's cured, then I'll unclamp everything. But let's see. Pretty dang good. Right here's a little low, but not much. I figure, worst case, I'll just stick another adjustable leg dead center on it, and that won't be in the way of my legs. But it's probably, it's not even 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/16 at the most. And once I get it positioned and leveled out, then I'll really know. So hopefully that stuff stays. Once it's pulled off, tighten everything up. Hopefully it'll be good. Now once it's hardened and before you unclamp it, what they say to do is go around and tighten down all those nuts and bolts. Get them all snugged up, then unclamp anything that you have clamped to the table, and it should hold out flat. I forgot about that part. So I unclamped everything and then it sagged, and then once I moved it into place, I tightened it all down and kind of had to work it a little bit to get it back to flat. So make sure you tighten it down before you unclamp everything. One of the things that I really liked about this table was the fact that I could just put 4 legs on it that are straight up and down. They don't have any horizontal supports. That way I can reach my legs under there, weld without kicking anything that would be in the way. And if I need to, I can get under there really easy. Well, it's all buttoned up, so now I can put it to some use.